I think a lot of times people kind of look at things as like a one-off shot. Like if you're out of town and you're at this bar and you see this person and this is probably the only time that you are going to have an organic interaction with this person, you might want to kind of accelerate things and shoot your shot there. But if you're at the gym and you see them every day, you don't need to.
Hey everyone, welcome to the podcast. I'm Alex and I help shy introverted nerds get over their fears and anxieties to find their player too. Today I bring you Jordan Yaklin, who's an online health and lifestyle coach who empowers gamers to reclaim their health, lose weight, and gain the confidence to become the main character of their lives. He has helped nearly 500 clients and is cursed with being the forever DM. Jordan, thank you so much for coming.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So the reason I brought Jordan is because so many people keep asking, I have a crush at the gym. How do I approach my crush? And my answer is always, are you talking to other people? Are you making friends with other people? And usually the answer is no, right? Because for me, it's if you just go to the gym and out of the blue, you start approaching someone without knowing the etiquette and without anyone knowing anything about you, that's what would usually be considered creepy, right? And so I wanted to have you on the show to sort of basically share it with us, because I don't go to the gym is not my place. But since you help nerds get fitter and be healthier, part of it is the gym, right? So just to get us started, what's sort of the dynamic socially inside the gym? How does that work?
Yeah. I think a lot of people in the gym have some form of gym anxiety, right? There's that mindset of everybody's watching me. And even if that's not, actual reality, that's what's going on in your head. So that's your reality, right?
Yeah.
And so one thing that I think people kind of oversee is that point of we're kind of in a vulnerable state. We're exercising, we're physically putting our bodies in a vulnerable state by being exhausted, a point of exhaustion, which puts us, if we're hunter-gatherers, puts us exhausted or vulnerable to predators, right? And so that is why I think we're kind of in that heightened state of awareness. And so when you are in that slightly heightened state of awareness and you get approached by a stranger, I can definitely see how that can be very off-putting. And so how, as far as overall gym culture and stuff like that, normally I haven't had an issue if I'm going up and I ask somebody for a spot or something like that. Most people tend to be really receptive to that because it's bros helping bros type situation. I don't go to people, I go and hit on people obviously, but I wouldn't do that in any setting. And so I think just kind of properly asking for help. If you don't know what a machine is, how to set up a machine or something like that, 9 times out of 10, if not more, people are going to be very happy to help you because you are making a conscious effort to better yourself. And so they want to help facilitate that in any way that they can, whether it's helping you set up a proper setup for the machine or a proper spotting. And I think that can be helpful. You going into, and this is against proper etiquette, you going up to somebody and correcting their form unsolicited or giving them advice unsolicited can be very off-putting because nobody wants that, right? You don't want to be somewhere and outside of the gym. You don't want to be at a library working on your computer and they have them come up to you saying your posture's wrong or something like that, right? And so as far as proper etiquette, I think just kind of you were saying, get to know people's routine. If there is that person there that you see the same time you go to the gym and they go all the time, and then you happen to notice that on a random Tuesday they're not there, then maybe next time you see them, you can be like, hey, I noticed you weren't here Tuesday, blah, blah, blah. I think that could be it could be a better way to kind of break that ice, right? Or you can play the whole thing. Are you still using this machine? Are you done? That type of thing, just to kind of break that ice. But going in and trying to offer value by correcting form or shooting your shot out the gate, I think is definitely not the right way to do it.
Yeah. You touched on not knowing how to use the machines. And I've heard that from quite a few people of I don't want to go to a gym because I don't know how the machines work. Mm-hmm. Right? It's I'm guessing that's a very common fear.
Yeah. Yeah. They don't want to look stupid, right? And the thing with machines, they're not goof proof, but they're pretty close. And so a lot of machines, they have it set up so they have a kind of like a plaque or a sticker that kind of shows proper setup. People don't really know this, but most machines will have like a red dot next to where the machine pivots, and that's where you're supposed to put your joint, like your elbow or knee, because that's the point of articulation and that's where your joint goes. And so if you just look at the picture on the machine, line your elbow up with the dot or line your knee up with the dot, then chances are you're going to have the machine like 90% set up. And the only other additional thing is if you are on a machine that has like pads that move, just try to make sure they don't slide up and down your like your legs for like extension, for example. But also most gyms have paid staff. Ask them, or it's a perfect opportunity to ask your crush if they're in that area. Be like, hey, I noticed you used this machine before. I don't know how to use it. Can you help me out? And like I said, 9 times out of 10, if not more, people are going to be helpful and totally willing and able to help you out with her.
Yeah, that's what I was hearing from you. It's like, it's not only that you're not going to look stupid. People often like helping, right?
Yeah.
And it's part of like sort of like the gym. I don't want to say gym bro etiquette, but like it's like everyone helping each other. Like at some point, the other person didn't know how to use the machine. And so you're going up to them and being like, hey, like, can you give me a tip here? Like, how does this work?
Yeah.
Usually
exactly.
They'll be happy to help, right?
Yeah. And that's why a lot of people love giving unsolicited advice, because they feel like they're helping rather than coming across as arrogant and not helping. And so that is a good way to kind of remove your mask, show a little element of vulnerability, saying, hey, I don't know how to use this. Right. And then that kind of breaks that shield down a little bit to open that door for conversation. Yeah,
for sure. The other interesting thing that you mentioned was like sort of like the routine, right? Like seeing the same person over and over again. And one of the tips that I give for like meeting people, not just like romantically, but like to make friends and community within the gym, is like, since most people have a routine of going at the same time, the same day, like you can start with just like a nod, right? And then the next time you see them, like, hi, then like you can work your way up to, hi, how are you? And so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Right. Is that what you usually find when you go to the gym or when people go to a gym?
Yeah. Yeah. Like if you're going to a gym and you notice, like, again, that it's particularly like finding friends. So like if another guy's there, give them that nod. If they have a cool shirt, you can give them a quick compliment, nice shirt, bro, as you guys are kind of walking past each other. Like that type of stuff is, I think, way easier and much a lower barrier to entry than trying to like approach your crush. But you can do the same thing. Like if your crush has a cool superhero shirt on and be like, hey, I like that shirt, as you guys are, walking past each other.
Yeah. And not having to sort of like force a conversation where you're like, I have to get the number right here, right now, or else everything is lost.
Yeah. And I think a lot of times people kind of look at things as like a one-off shot. Like if you're out of town and you're at this bar and you see this person, and this is probably the only time that you are going to have an organic interaction with this person, you might want to kind of accelerate things and shoot your shot there. But if you're at the gym and you see them every day, you don't need to,
Yeah. Also, the thing with the gym and the thing with like the routine is like, you don't want to make the other person uncomfortable.
Right? Yeah.
Because like they also go at the same time to do exercise. They don't really want to have to avoid going or like going some other time because they didn't feel comfortable.
Yeah, because there's that creep there at the gym.
Exactly. Yeah. Which is why like making friends and going slow and seeing how they respond would actually work better than just approaching the crush.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like a long con, you know what I mean?
I don't want to say it's a con.
Long game. I like
Sure.
long con because that's the phrase. It's a long game.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean, but it's like, yes. Like also like the way that I see it is oftentimes when you have like friends with you and sort of like a community, you will tell someone like, oh, like I like that person, and they will push you to talk to them, right? Which is sort of like the opposite of the creep, right? Because like the creep is like someone who doesn't really talk to anyone, and then they just go and talk to their crush and nobody else. Versus I'm here, I have like 3-4 friends. I'm like, hey, like that person looks really cute, and they'd be like, dude, just go talk to them, like, or even better, maybe that person is friends with some of your friends. Yeah.
If you have like a local connection, a mutual connection, I think that can be really helpful, because then that could potentially, right, that could potentially spread outside of the gym to where you two are both at a party or game night or something like that. And then that crush is there. You guys already have that somewhat rapport built in because you see each other at the gym all the time. And so there's definitely a lot to it rather than just going in, shooting your shot. Because I think the people that say, just go in, just go in, shoot your shot, blah, blah, blah. It's like, to them, it's a numbers game. Like if I approach enough people, eventually somebody's going to say yes, but not when it's like, that is your crush. You don't want to shoot your shot and get shot down, right?
Yeah. And also so far I've interviewed over 300 couples, and 70% of them started as friends, right? Yeah. So it works for 70% of couples so far. So why would you try to do anything different? And you brought up a really good point, which I was actually going to ask you about. Like, how do you take people out of the gym? Because I find that until you take people out of the place where you met them, you don't really connect with them. You don't really bond with them. Like you just mentioned, you make friends in the gym, and then maybe you're at a party with them, and then your crush is there. Like, how have you found, either you or your clients, that it works? That you meet someone in the gym, you either ask for a spot or ask how the machine works. How does that transition to meeting outside of the gym?
Yeah, I think if you're at that place where maybe you've exchanged numbers and you're chatting and stuff like that, you start off going to another public area, like maybe grabbing coffee or grabbing dinner or lunch or something like that. Something I know a rule number one is don't go to the movies on your first date because you can't talk. And so I'm not
talking about dates though. I'm talking about in general, because you said you go to a party with friends, right? And your crush is there, but you were there with your friends. Are there any types of for example, I'm just thinking if you have a D&D group, then you would be likely to go to an LGS to play Magic the Gathering, for example. Is there some equivalent for gym culture? You said people who go to the gym typically would also meet to do X.
I don't know if I'm the best person for that, because I wouldn't necessarily fall into that gym bro culture. I would much rather be that person playing D&D at your LGS. And so if I saw somebody who, if I was on the dating scene and I was approaching my crush and I knew that they had worn a D&D shirt or something like that, then that would probably be the route that I would want to go, is maybe, again, not a date, other people are around, maybe go and play Friday Night Magic or something like that. That's probably more so what I would turn toward.
Yeah. I'm not just talking about a crush, with friends, right? And
same thing.
Really, and it's really cool that you said I'm not a gym bro, but I'm guessing that you go or have gone to the gym. And in the same way, if you say, okay, I would meet them for D&D, right? I would meet them for doing something a bit more nerdy. How do you bring up your nerdiness? How do you show it? Is it a shirt? Do you mention it when you're talking?
I pretty much wear it on my sleeve, literally. But yeah. So this is kind of a hard question, because most people that I find mutually are nerds. And so, and I also don't think that you should hide your interests by that. So it's if you're meeting somebody and you are somebody who just wears plain clothing all the time, and you're trying to meet, you're trying to hang out with people and trying to find another friend circle or more people to bring into your network, then I would just kind of, through small talk, through rapport building, just figure out what their likes are, their hobbies, their interests and stuff like that, just through normal small talk, right? That's what we all love talking about ourselves. Get somebody talking about themselves. So, what do you do when you're not in the gym? And if they're like, I like playing games with my friends, boom, that's your in. And so then you can either invite them to play games together if you have a local spot that you guys go to, stuff like that.
Yeah. So where I am, I've been going to paddle, which is sort of like tennis. And you would not associate paddle with nerdiness. But it happened already 3 times that I was talking to people, and I randomly said hey, do you guys like board games? They're like, oh, we love board games. We absolutely love board games. I'm like, cool. I have a WhatsApp group. We meet almost every week. Do you want to join? Yes, please. Cool. And until I brought it up, it didn't really come up in conversation, right? So you kind of have to put that out there. That's
yeah. And you get that information through small talk, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. Like I think I started talking about like, because I lived in Canada and somebody had a sticker of Banff, which is where I lived. I was like, hey, whose bottle is that? Like who went to Banff? And someone's like, oh, me. And that's how we started talking. Right.
Nice.
Totally unrelated. Totally unrelated.
Yeah.
When we're talking about like when we're discussing about like the topic for the interview, you mentioned about like safe spaces.
Mhm.
What did you mean by that? Like, can you sort of like introduce the idea and what you wanted to share with that about that?
Yeah. Yeah. So a lot of time, again, kind of circling back to what we talked about originally, a lot of times people see that gym as that heightened state of awareness, that anxious, you have that gym anxiety, everybody's staring at me, blah, blah, blah. And that's because you don't or recently haven't belonged to at the gym, right? And so you are entering somebody else's safe space to where these people, a lot of people who come to the gym, they come to the gym very regularly. This is their time to relax. This is their time to unwind. This is their time to physically work out all of that mental stress and anxiety that they have. And so they might actually be keeping an eye on you. So that way you do practice proper gym etiquette and you respect their safe space the way that should be respected. And that's not necessarily saying you must know the unwritten rules or the hierarchy of the gym. It's just, wipe down your machines, put your weights away. Don't be running around shirtless. Don't be, randomly approaching people, giving unsolicited advice. Just be a normal, proper human. And so people will kind of maybe keep a side eye on you to ensure that you're not encroaching on their safe space. And the same thing goes for if you're at your safe space, like if a local game store is your kind of like your safe place. This is where you go every Friday and you like to hang out and play with your friends. And then you see somebody who might be wearing like a gym tank top walk in that might feel like they're more of on the gym bro jock side. You're going to keep an eye on them to make sure that they're not infringing on your safe space. And so a lot of people see it only in a one-way direction where they don't see it if the shoe's on the other foot. And so I think if you kind of lay it out like that, as in I'm encroaching on other people's safe space, so I must respect it. Knowing full well that this eventually could be become my safe space and I'll be accepted and everything like that. Just know that there might be that barrier there because other people are going to be defensive and protective of their safe space. And they should be, right? And the same thing is if they walk into the LGS, you want to make sure that they're not going to walk in making fun of everybody playing. Look at all these nerds playing board games, right? And so it's the same thing same thing.
Yeah. I like how you said like that the place could become your safe space. I was working with a client a while back and they were saying that they would like to find more places with regular people. And I was like surprised because I'm like, well, the places you've been going to that like we have been working on and that you've been going to, you told me that they had regular people. And they're like, yeah, but it doesn't feel like regular people. And then I said, well, how often have you gone there? Like once to each place. Like it's not going to feel regular until you go regularly.
Yeah, you're the one that's not the regular.
Exactly. In the same way, if you don't go to the gym regularly, you're not going to feel like it's your safe space.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I often talk about like, so I'm a digital nomad, so I change cities every 3 to 6 months. And every time I go to a new place, I meet new people. The first day, I'm like, what am I doing here? This is weird. I don't know anyone. Like I feel stressed. I feel out of my element. And I've been doing this for like 6 years, right? And like I should be used to it, but I'm not. And then like by the second time, maybe I recognize a face or two. Somebody maybe recognizes me, even remembers my name, even though I don't know anybody's names. And then like by the maybe 4th, 5th time, it's like, I know which people I like to hang out with. This feels known. It takes some time, right? Like,
yeah.
How long do you think? Maybe like it's the wrong question, but like how long do you find that like your clients take until they're comfortable going to the gym?
Ooh, that's a good question. I don't know if I have a specific time because probably half my clients don't even work out in the gym because that's a barrier that they don't want to overcome just yet. And I don't know if there's a proper time, but I definitely know that a lot of people start off not wanting to work out, right? They don't like working out. They see it as a stressor versus a stress relief. And a lot of times in our programming, there is a time where I get a message saying, holy crap, I had a really stressful day. And all I could think about was, I can't wait to get home and work out, or I can't wait to get to the gym and work out. And it's like, when you do that, you're playing the game on easy mode, right? Because your stress relief went from escapism into video games, board games, food, whatever it is, to escaping into the gym, which is a healthy habit. And so your coping mechanism became a healthy habit. And when you're able to do that to where all these negative emotions are worked out through healthy behaviors, then the game is game over, right? Game's on easy mode. And so I don't necessarily have a specific timeline for that, because I think it's individual. But if you go, and like you said, if you become a regular, that will happen.
Yeah. It's interesting that you talked about easy mode. I have the same with my clients. Like when we first started, they're like, I have no time, I have no energy. Like, how am I going to do this? And then after maybe like a month or maybe 2 months, they're like going out like 2-3 times a week and super happy and super energized. And I'm like, this is great. This is amazing. And we went to do this and went to do that. It's like, I went salsa dancing. And I'm like, you went salsa dancing? Like, you never mentioned that you like dancing. They're like, oh no, my friends suggested, so we went, And even like on my Discord, somebody was like, yeah, I have no time. I do work and then home. And somebody jumped in and said, yeah, like I thought the same thing. But once I started enjoying it, I realized that it energized me rather than taking away energy. And it feels like with the gym, it's pretty much the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. You're talking like your social battery, right?
Yeah.
People go shopping and then that depletes their social battery for 3 days. But what you don't realize is that's not so much of a all or nothing battery as it is a muscle, right? To where it can get bigger and stronger. And that AAA battery becomes like a AA, then like a C, then a D, and so the battery can actually grow. So you have a higher capacity. And the same thing goes with like working out. You work out more. If you work out more, the more you can work out, and the easier it becomes. And then you can push yourself harder. And then, like you said, if you're working out where, 3 months ago, that particular workout was running you into the ground to where you just felt sluggish, for the, overly sore for the next day, which is what I try not to do with my clients. But let's say it happens, then 3 months down the road, that workout is energizing you to where you're like, man, maybe I need to ramp things up because I still have a lot left in the tank. I definitely think there's correlation there.
Yeah. I can also imagine that with, I don't know the exact like hormones and stuff that go on when you exercise, but I do know that it does give you some stuff that makes you both feel better, more energized, also more confident, right? And that can also help if someone has like social anxiety, right? It's like, oh, I'm achieving this at the gym. I had a client who was they were like, I'm fine going to the gym because I can see numbers going up. It's hard for me to practice socializing because I have nothing to measure it with. And so what we end up doing is we end up gamifying it, right? To compensate for that. Okay. But they were saying how like they do enjoy going to the gym because like they see the numbers going up and they feel good about themselves. Right. Mm-hmm. And I think like that sort of like state of mind can also help you to sort of break that barrier and approach people and start conversations and whatnot. Yeah,
absolutely. How do you gamify social interactions?
So the way that I do it is first of all, we decide which skill they want to work on. It could be conversation, it could be asking for a number, it could be giving compliments, whatever it is. And then we say, okay, let's think of 3 actions that you can take, and we assign them difficulty levels, like CR rates, CRs. And then we say, okay, for the lowest one, and it depends on how much anxiety they get when they think about doing it. So for the lowest one, they get 1 experience point. For the next one, 3 XP, and then the highest one, 5 XP. At 30, they level up. And to me, there are like 2 keys in the process. One is giving yourself XP right after you do it, so that you can get the dopamine associated with the action. And the result doesn't matter. It's not like you say, I want to get a number, so I'm going to give myself XP when you get a number. A rejection is still experience, right? Yeah. Because you did that thing. So it's all on you. It's all like what you do, and it's all in your hands. And also like you're the one deciding what's harder or what's easier. It's not like I come with a template being like, hey, this is the way. And the other important thing is once you level up, you first of all delete all the XP, give yourself 1 extra level, and think about where you were before and compare it to now. And that is key, because I'm sure you know this with the gym, like people don't really notice the difference because it's so slow and so gradual.
Mm-hmm.
And you either need, in your case, you would take pictures. I can't take pictures of my clients, like
right,
state
confidence,
of mind. Yeah, exactly. But like in your case, it would be like taking pictures, right? And it's like, oh, look where you were and look where you're now. Or like, look how much you used to lift before and how much you're lifting now. In my case, it would be like, oh, like think about like how before you couldn't ask for a single number and now you ask for like 5, right? Just to say an example. Yeah. But unless you do that looking back, it doesn't really feel like progress. You see the numbers go up, but it doesn't really feel like progress. So that's how I do it.
Nice.
Basically.
Nice. I like that. I had a conversation with a client today who one of his goals is becoming less socially awkward, using his terms. And one thing we talked about today, he was just telling me like how, because he did a social experiment is what he calls it. He went to the bar and he just was like trying to figure out proper interactions and stuff like that. And he was saying that he felt a lot more calm and comfortable. And there's a thing in sales where you have to get comfortable in silence. And the problem is like a lot of times when people are quiet, like if I ask you a question, you say something and then you stop, you could be thinking of an extension to that answer. And that could be where more deeper meaning is. That's where like we go below the surface level. And if I'm not comfortable, giving you a 2-second pause, I could be interjecting in there, completely derailing that train of thought. And so being comfortable is just sitting in silence and not over analyzing everything. It's like, oh my, is he mad at me? Is he bought in? Am I annoying him too much? And then you just go into like this rambling, right? Of just trying, kind of like what I'm doing now, this rambling where you're just trying to fill that void, fill that silence is, I think, very important in just like normal social interaction, because you don't always need to be talking, and not every, nobody has to be talking at all times. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I am not surprised that your client tried the bar. What's the right word? I'm not disappointed. That's not the right word. I would like for people to not try to start there. I have no idea how to talk to people at bars.
Right.
I don't drink alcohol. Every time I've gone to a bar and I interact with people, like I've gone with my friends and there's other people there, I'm like, I have nothing in common with these people. I'm not comfortable. This is not my space. I tried. Right. And I consider myself fairly social. I have to, because I keep moving around all the time. But the bar is not somewhere that I'm comfortable. Mm-hmm. Instead, what I suggest to everyone who wants to like work on their social skills is like find somewhere where you have like a topic of conversation that you really enjoy. Right. And that could be like, let's say, a local game store where they're playing a game that you like playing. It could be some activity, some hobby that you really enjoy, and then you know what to talk about. Mm-hmm. It's so much easier rather than going to a bar where it's like you could like anything and everything, and I have no idea, and I have to figure it out.
Yep.
How come your client chose the bar first?
I think he was going with friends, and so I think he went with his local circle, and he was. I can't remember if there was somebody in that circle that he was trying to get closer to or what, but he was just kind of feeling out his social awareness, I think is what it was.
Right.
So I don't think he went in cold turkey by himself and was like, I'm going to find a mate today. I think he was just, I just think he was with friends and trying to feel out social interactions.
Okay. That makes more sense. Yeah. It's just like often when people say like going to a bar, I'm like, I imagine someone who already feels socially awkward, who's already not confident, standing there with the drink being like, how does this work?
Yeah. Which one am I approaching?
Yeah, exactly. Cool. So like going back to gym culture, like making friends at the gym, like you already mentioned, like you start slow, like with just like something casual, just small talk, and then trying to find out if they like something that you might like, you can wear a shirt that shows something that you like. I think that's a really cool idea. Are there any tips or anything else that you think like people should either be aware of or that they might find useful if they want to just like socialize and meet people at the gym?
Yeah, this one's a little bit more of a longer play, but if you see somebody and you've been seeing them and you kind of done like the head nod, that type of stuff over like months, you can in a non-creepy way compliment them on their progress, because that will be like the best compliment that you can give them.
Ooh,
You can be like, hey, I'm, especially if it's somebody who is like hitting weights, you can be like, hey, I couldn't help but notice, but your shoulders are really filling out, or something like that. And, again, leave it very platonic. And people like, you're crushing it, unless, it's showing that.
Yeah. So don't say, I like your ass. Like, your ass looks great.
Yes,
now.
Exactly.
That's not acceptable.
Exactly. I mean, if you're trying to make a, guy friend, that might work for us guys. Yeah, sure. But yeah, just compliment them on their progress. If they're on a weight loss journey, you can be like, hey, I couldn't help but notice you lost a good amount of weight. Awesome job. Keep that up. That type of thing. But that's kind of like a longer play. Obviously, you're not going to do that on day 2. But
sure. Like it's, I didn't think about it before, but like, so I restarted playing paddle. I used to play paddle like in the 90s, a very long time ago, just friendly. And so I started now and I just sucked. I was awful. I'm still not good, but I was very, very bad. And after like a month or 2, people started being like, hey, I'm seeing like you're making lots of progress, great work. And like, oh, like people notice me and they see progress. I'm like, cool, awesome, thank you. And I never thought about that as a way to like either start a conversation or get closer to someone. But yeah, absolutely. I can absolutely see that working. Yeah.
Yeah. And it can, then that you can kind of transition that to the next step, saying, again, if this is either a dating interaction or, potential dating interaction, like with a crush or just like somebody who you might want to try to become buddies with, you could be like, hey, I noticed, again, your shoulders are really filling out. What are you doing? Obviously you're crushing it in the gym, but can you give me a quick rundown on what your diet looks like? Or are you taking any supplements? And it's like, if you kind of come up to them saying, hey, again, what we were talking about earlier, hey, is there anything you can teach me? Because if you can spin that in a way of not trying to be salesy, like teach me something, give me value in my life or go away type of thing. But if you could be like, hey, is there anything that, you're doing with your diet that I should know about? People love helping, people love educating, people love showing, talking about what they're passionate about. And you can kind of hit all 3 of those things in one question. And I think if you can do that, get people talking about themselves and the progress that they've made and the effort that they're putting into themselves, that can be a very good way to build that rapport and buy-in.
Yeah. I like that you said effort, because that is absolutely 100% correct. It's like they're putting effort into something. You are A, recognizing that it's paying off. And B, you're telling them like, I can see that you're doing something well. I'd like to learn from you. Like,
yeah,
I think that's fantastic. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And I mean, you never know where that person is too, because maybe they are on the fence of like, I really like fitness. Maybe this should be something that I should pursue. So you asking, hey, what are you doing with your diet could literally change the trajectory of their life to where they're like, maybe I can turn this into a career. And so again, I know we kind of alluded to it, but you just don't know where people are in their lives and you don't know what positive social interaction has effect on them. And so even like, simply as smiling to somebody can just change their whole day. And so if you kind of go into that aspect of trying to improve people's lives around you, I think there will be a law of reciprocity.
Yeah. And I do want to highlight though, that you said after you've been like doing like the nod or like the hi or something, mm-hmm. right? They should know that you know that they exist before you give them a compliment that you've been seeing them without them noticing for like a month or 2, right?
Yeah.
Because if they don't know that you exist and now you're like, oh, I noticed for the past few months you've been doing this, it's like, oh, you've been stalking me. Versus, hey, like every day, and then it's like, oh, I noticed that every time I say hey to you, now you look more like this. That's sort of like what it implies. So I think that's something that I want to highlight just in case.
Yeah. And I think, Yes, absolutely. But I think that line can kind of be pushed if you're just trying to make friends, right? If you have been going to the gym for 3 or 4 months pretty consistently, because think about it, if I was in the other situation, and maybe this is because I'm slightly extroverted, but if I went to the gym for 3 to 4 months and I was crushing it and I saw great results and I had some random guy come up to me while I'm walking on the treadmill saying, it's like, dude, I've been watching you for the last 4 months and I couldn't help but notice you made some good gains, like your arms are massive or whatever. And then I wake up from my dream. And then they're like, what are you doing? I would be elated. Like that would just make my whole week. So I don't think you necessarily need to be overly cautious about that. But again, if you are talking to your crush and then you should maybe kind of tiptoe a little bit more. But again, I'm on the era of not necessarily shoot your shot, but don't be afraid to approach somebody if you have good intentions. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And at the very least, practice with friendships. At the very least, my suggestion is still form community and make friends.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's a lot less at stake trying to become friends with a guy versus, approaching a girl trying to, turning that into a potential relationship.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. Do you want to share with us what you do? How can people reach you?
Yeah. So kind of like what you said in the beginning, my elevator pitch is I'm the head coach and owner of Phoenix Performance Coaching, where we empower gamers to reclaim their health, lose weight, and build the confidence to become the main character of their lives, which is why I really wanted to talk to you, because it's all about confidence. And we do that through just 100% online coaching. The best place to find me, really kind of the only place, is my Instagram, which is just my first and last name, Jordan Yaklin. And then if you are interested in learning more about coaching, you can either peruse my content on there, you can join our Discord, we have a pretty active community in there, or you can just simply shoot me a DM and we can kind of chat about things.
Awesome. Jordan, this has been amazing, and I hope this was good for everyone else. If you have questions for him or for future past guests, please leave a comment or email me at dm@datanerd.com or at any social media @datanerd. Thank you, and continue playing.